there's a typo or bad research or something, because Perry calls the dropship an APC. Now, there is a huge difference between a dropship and an armored personnel carrier. Hicks decides to go and rescue his soldiers, as their dropship was remotely detonated by Massey.
One question. Why does an infantry sergeant know how to fly a dropship? I mean, it's an incredibly complex craft. He doesn't have the need to know how to fly a dropship, because he's mainly going to be fighting on the ground. And if he did, why wouldn't he be a dropship pilot in the first place?
As our intrepid heroes hurtle towards the alien of... let's just call it AH-1138. The Marines on the surface have a new mission. Since Massey marooned not only them, but also the crew of the ship, they have to go rescue them. As they are humans, and being androids, they are bound to the various laws of robotics. The entire rescue sequence itself is quite entertaining and very well written.
And we learn the best way to kill an alien. You shoot its knees. That way it loses some mobility and doesn't spray a lot of acid about when you finish it off. Now, of the original complement that was marooned on the planet, there are a total of 2 left. They do find a single human left alive and try to make it back to the dropship.
En route to the dropship, Bueller suffers the same fate as Bishop. I guess for androids, you can only get lucky once. They do all eventually make it back to the dropship, but they have yet another problem. The aliens swarm all over the ship, thus preventing them from taking off. Of course, they all share the standard, "we're all gonna die" speech.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now?
Up until they are saved by a jockey alien. Yeah, this guy comes literally out of nowhere. It's never explained where he came from, why he's there, or anything. He just, boom. There. He kills off all the aliens on the dropship, somehow leaving the ship unharmed. Guess he's a really, really good shot. Also, Newt has psionic powers, and she is able to communicate with the jockey telepathically. This wasn't a movie because... why?
They blast off from the planet and do 2 things. 1, they scour the ship with cleaning lasers before they get off, which is really what Ripley should have done. And 2, they nuke the planet from orbit, thus ending the threat of alien homeworld AA-23 once and for all.
So with that adventure over, they now have to return to Earth. And by this time, they do know that the xenomorphs have taken out a pretty huge chunk of the planet. The one thing that gets really annoying is the fact that the in-universe characters all seem to think that humanity brought this entire xenomorph plague, so to speak, on themselves. The only problem with that is the xenomorphs are extraterrestrials. Zombies? Maybe. Genetically engineered monsters? Definitely. But in this case, not really. The human response could have been a little more coordinated, but really, the xenomorphs caused the vast majority of death and destruction.
They make it back to Earth just in time to be caught up in a major evacuation. And, well, nobody really gives a damn that they made it back, other than the fact that they brought a ship with them. In fact, the Earth military just tries to strand them there. Thanks for completing your mission. Now please, kindly go die.
But Hicks is able to kill a few people, and eventually he, Newt, and Bueller are able to make it to a ship and escape the planet. There would be 2 sequels to this novel, Nightmare Asylum, a story that made for both a good comic and a good novel. And it really did a good job of recapturing the feel of Alien. And it introduced another deplorable villain. Alien the Female War was the final sequel in the so-called Alien trilogy, and was probably the best novel, but as a comic it was awful. Just look at this art. It's really hard to even look at it after reading Nightmare Asylum. And just look at Hicks. He looks like Duke from G.I. Joe. The copy you see here is one where they tried to update it with Wilkes and Billy. But apparently their editor did a very bad job, as it switches between Hicks and Wilkes and Newt and Billy every few seconds. Really, just read the novel and don't even bother with the comic. Now, there is one final thing that really adds to the novel's awesomeness. On the last page, there is an ad, but this ad is not for anything ordinary. Oh no, this is an ad for the Thrawn trilogy.
For next time, I am going to continue in the vein of awesome novels and review Star Trek Federation. But for now, this is General Oz wishing you good Star Trek, the Great Starship Race. Good. Aliens Stronghold. Or whatever makes you happy.